Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight is a special edition on the June 7th Save the State protest. This is the eve of the June 7th protest to be held in Monrovia, Liberia. And we thought it wise to have a roundtable with our honorable man, Representative Nagbe Sloh. Along with me here, I have my co-host, knuckles-guishard, and guest co-host Fidel Booty all the way from the UK. Fidel, welcome. Danielle, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
And we also want to welcome our guest, Honorable Nagbe Sloh. Mr. Sloh, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. It's a pleasure to be back on your show for the second time.
All right. Mr. Sloh is the representative for District Number 2 in Sino County. He's also the spokesperson for the Independent Legislative Caucus. By profession, he's a journalist. He's formerly the Director General of the Liberian News Agency. We're glad to have you, Mr. Sloh. So many things happening in Monrovia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And to introduce the show, I want to just go on to my co-host, Danielle, who's going to pass it on to Fidel later on so that we can talk about the show while we're here tonight. And we want to also welcome our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. We broadcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight is a special broadcast. And Danielle, take it away from me.
Thanks, Dennis, and welcome again to our guests. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Focus on Liberia. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you, our audience, again, to please make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Focus on Liberia. That is one way that you can support us. As you know, that we don't get paid to do these broadcasts, but if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be potentially your way of helping to financially support this channel. So welcome again to our guest, Honorable Sloh, and our guest co-host, Fidel Booty. As Dennis said, tonight we will be discussing the upcoming June 7th protest that has become to be known as Save the State protest. And so first, what we're going to do tonight is dig into the reasons for the protests, or what we think are the reasons for the protests. As many of you know, the protest was initially announced on the Henry Costa show that plays on the radio in Liberia and also broadcast live here on Facebook. And through that, later on, the Council of Patriots was formed and then really spearheaded or moved this protest forward. So one of the reasons that we know of, or believe we know, for the protests is or the $25 million mop-up exercise. So Honorable Sloh, what can you tell us about that and help us to understand if you think it's a valid reason for
people?
Yes, that's perfect.
Unless I can go back and come back in, because I don't know what else to do. I've tried all the channels.
The volume is okay right now. You can continue.
It's okay right now?
Yes.
All right. Like I was saying, neither me as an individual or the organization I represent, which is the Independent Legislative Caucus, has been involved in the planning of the protest. So it will be unfair to the organizers for me to list reasons why the protest is ongoing. What I know for a fact is that just as you have been hearing, I too have been hearing that the protest is about the disappearance of $25 million US dollars that was intended to mop up excess liquidity in the economy, and the 16 billion Liberian dollars saga, plus other shortcomings in the government. Now, for me personally, and for the caucus, we have never thought that, as much as we ourselves agree with the poor management of government, this protest is the best way out. We have never believed that. And that's why probably we have not participated in the planning and all of that. History informs us that there has been no peaceful political protest in the streets of Monrovia. In 1979, when Bacchus Matthews put people in the streets, he did not ask anybody to loot. When Turbo sent people to, when the looting started, and Turbo sent police and soldiers to go and come and arrest the situation, Turbo did not instruct any soldier or police to loot, but the soldiers and the police led the looting. Right? So for somebody to come and tell me with that experience, in fact, since then, all other political protests up to the time Mr. Salif took over has never been peaceful. So we were very concerned about when we heard that this other protest was going to be peaceful. Reports from Monrovia today are proving us right. We have not even reached June 7. People are stoning police. Police is tear gassing students on the University of Liberia campus, and there was chaos in Monrovia today. I don't think anybody can describe that as peaceful protest. A certain legislator, the president, the vice president, and all legislators are protected against arrest unless in cases of sedition. Today, a legislator was supposed to be arrested by the police. His house was surrounded by armed policemen. ECOWAS had to intervene, escorted him to the police station. These are all the things we were talking about. This protest will not be peaceful. But again, it is what it is. Thank you.
Sorry, Daniel, is it possible for me to jump in here? Because I just want to pick up one of the points that the Honorable made. Because he suggested that in Liberia, or usually political protests are not peaceful. Well, we have like evidence from history. Just last year, when Liberians got into the street to protest about the 16 billion, as far as we are aware, that went very peaceful. There were no major issues because obviously the government at the time allowed the protesters to exercise their rights under the Constitution, Article 1 and Article 17. What we are seeing, and some of the things that you've touched on, Honorable Sloh, which is I'm grateful that you did, is that the government seemed to be manipulating the situation so that it becomes a chaotic scene, and then they can react in the way that they reacted. So, if you can just touch on that, because obviously, like I said, last year we saw the 16 billion protests in September. There were no violence, there were no people being stoning police or anything. However, this time, the situations are different. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, Brother Fidel, if you tell me the protest that you are referring to that was peaceful, then I will tell you who was in charge of security. Maybe that's where we will agree.
So
all throughout the term of Madam Salif, which I think you refer to, your national security was in the hands of peacekeepers. Almost every security decision was made by the peacekeepers, and those were no-nonsense people. That day is different from today.
What about?
Oh no, I was sorry, Honorable. I was making reference to last year, 2018. So obviously, the peacekeepers had handed over the security of the Republic to the Liberian police force when President Weah took over. And in September, October last year, there were protests in Monrovia when people felt that $16 billion had gone missing. And the government provided security for the Liberian protesters, and there were no major violent issues. So for you to be saying now that this is going to be violent because we've never had violent protests, then it kind of contradicts that situation.
All right, Brother Fidel, even at that, the people of Liberia were not as angry and as hungry as they are today. You can put an angry and a hungry man in the street and expect him to march peacefully. At that time you are referring to, the government had just come to power, our expectations were high, and people were relatively peaceful. But right now, as you can see, from that point you are talking about to now, the anger in the streets of Monrovia has tripled. And the young people I see in Monrovia chanting the kind of slogans they chant are not the ones that will show me of any peaceful demonstration. Just look at today. But you are right when you say the first demonstration was peaceful. The president had just come to power and he wanted to please people, but right now the situation is not the same. Thank you.
Another issue that's come up is generally the economy and the exchange rate. The exchange rate is almost $1 to 200 Liberian dollars. And as I said already, the Council of Patriots has not formally presented their demands yet to the president or to the public, but that is one of the alleged reasons for the protests is the exchange rate. What can you tell us about what you think the president and his team can really do to affect that rate at this time, and whether, once again, it's reason enough to call for a protest?
Well, I am not an economist, but I'm wondering if a street protest will help reduce the exchange rate. The money that was intended to map out the liquidity situation is the one that is in question. Right now there are excess money in our economy. A good number of that is counterfeit money. So to get the legitimate US dollar, people, any rate you throw out there, those with the illegitimate money will go for that rate. So the rate will continue to go up until we can map up the excess that's in the market. Another one is we have to change our currency overnight. Just give people 1 week to bring the money they have or turn it into mattresses. That's the only way out. But you sing this song and it doesn't enter any ear. So the money is still in the market there. We need some serious US dollar to map it out or change the currency. But again, whether street demonstration can reverse the situation is another question for the economists.
All right, Honorable Sloh, let me get this clear from the get-go. Do you support or don't support the planned June 7th protest? Yes. If yes, why? If no, why? Why not? Why or why not?
Well, I do not support it because, like I said, I don't think it's the way out of the crisis in our country. I think dialogue should be the best way out. Like I was saying, history has not given me enough courage to support a street demonstration. That's one. Two, right now, the tension in the country is too high for you to put a hungry man and an angry man in the street and expect them to behave the way you wanted, the way you had intended it. I'm not sure it can happen. Just look at this morning events in Monrovia. That's exactly some of the things. We didn't get to June 7th yet. People are stoning, each other. Police is involved in shooting tear gas on the campus of the University of Liberia. I saw a clip. It reminded me about 1984, when those sent the soldiers on the campus of the same University of Liberia. I don't have any belief, any courage that the protest is going to be peaceful. That's why I didn't support it yesterday. I don't support it today. I will not support it tomorrow. Let's get to the negotiation table, whatever the issues are. That's why I thought the organizers missed an opportunity. When the United Nations and all the international organizations sat at the same table with the government and the organizers, I thought it was a great opportunity for all the concerns to fall on the table and be addressed. But when the organizer said you will hear from us June 7th, then it gave me a different impression that there was something else intended and not necessarily calling the government's attention to some ills of the government or the society. That's why I don't support it, sir. And we as a legislative caucus have been very careful not to endorse or reject the protest because, like I said, the government did not involve us and the planners did not involve us. So as a caucus, we have decided to refrain from it, and we have allowed individual members like Honorable Yeke Koluba, who may want to support, to do so in their own name, not in the name of the independent legislative caucus.
I hear you mention the meeting. I believe that was the Unification Day meeting with the United Nations and the Council of Patriots and the President. From what I've heard or what I understand is that the President made a comment, and one of his comments during that meeting was that the issues or the problems or the hard time wasn't as hard, or it wasn't affecting as many people. And from what I understand, the Council of Patriots believe maybe he needs to see a number of people to get the message out louder and clearer that this hardship is affecting more than a few people. Do you agree or disagree with that logic, or can you not, I guess, go with that?
I was not at that meeting. If the president made that statement, it was unfortunate. It reminds me about the 1979 rice riot. We had 4 meetings with President Torba before the demonstration. 4, F-O-U-R. The first meeting, we accompanied Chairman Gabriel Bacchus Matthews to inform the president that the Liberian people were not already happy with the current price of rice, and for the government to increase it to $23 was going to worsen the situation, so the people were not happy. Torba said it was Bacchus Matthews' idea. It was nobody else outside there who was doing it. So we agreed we will go to all the markets in Monrovia and solicit signatures for the market people to tell Torba that indeed they were not satisfied, they and their customers were not satisfied with the price of rice. The letter was taken to President Torba. President Torba assured us that in 2 weeks, the government was going to make a pronouncement. He didn't say which way, whether up or down. 2 weeks finished, we went back again to Torba. Mr. President, the 2 weeks are finished. The people are still waiting to hear from you. He said, Bacchus, you are the one causing this trouble. We can't write this kind of English in this letter. So Bacchus assured him, since you don't believe anything we tell you, we are going to bring the market people themselves to tell you that they are not happy. It was the market people that we put on Camp Johnson Road to go and march to the mansion, when the whole thing turned around. So if President Weah said what you refer to, then it takes us back to the scenario I just explained. Thank you.
Our Honorable Sloh, I'm just going to come in a little bit here, because obviously you've covered a lot of things. One of the things that you talked about, and I would say that obviously I've had some concerns about it in terms of the motives of the protesters, because they were given an opportunity, like you said, on the 14th of May to present their grievances to the president. They went to a meeting, they should have gone prepared, have a list of the items that they want the president to deal with, give him an ultimatum, say, look, if we don't hear from you within a couple of weeks, then we'll go ahead with the protest. Having said that, given the situations that we've had in Liberia this morning, that the government decided to go and arrest a sitting lawmaker, even though the Constitution is very clear, I think it's Article 42 of the Constitution that says that lawmakers cannot be arrested for expressing their views. Do you think, in your opinion, given the situations that have happened so far, that the president or the government of Liberia are initiating the groundwork for violence on the 7th of June? Because so far, the protesters have not done anything untoward, apart from not presenting their grievances on the 14th. But the government seems to be, first of all, the IG came out on Friday saying that, oh, people are not allowed to march under the Constitution, they're only allowed to assemble, which we know is not true. Now you've had the police go to the home of a representative to try and arrest him for no specific reason, and then go onto the university campus, which are reminiscent of things that were done in the past by other governments that led to protests becoming violent. What is your opinion on those situations in terms of what the government is doing to instigate violence?
Well, I don't know if the government is doing anything to instigate violence, using your words. But the actions taken this morning against Honorable Yeke Koluba were dead wrong. The president is protected, just as the vice president, the senators, and the representatives. Unless in cases of sedition, you can arrest any of us. So if it is good for the president not to be arrested under the law, it should also be good for a Nagbe Sloh and a Yeke Koluba. Already, the lame dog speaker yesterday established a kangaroo forum to investigate Representative Yeke Koluba. Some of us, I'm going to cut short my visit to go and deal with that other issue. But it's a different discussion all by itself. So, who was the complainant against Yeke Koluba? Who? I'm told the allegation is that he instructed some people to beat somebody. Who is the person who made the allegation? And is that sufficient? Let's even agree, for the sake of argument, that he did. Is that ground to arrest a certain representative? What happened to the process of complaining him to the House of Representatives? That has been the age-old process. Why is this other one supposed to be different? Wolokoli told us in 1984, strange things are happening, and we have to deal with them. On the protests on Friday, again, I will appeal to the patriots to see reason to use ECOWAS, the United Nations, AU, and all the other international bodies, if they don't trust any local arrangement, to deal with the issues. The international community is already willing to help. I'm told that the president of ECOWAS has been in Liberia for a few days now. The United Nations the Secretary General Special Representative is still there. Let's use these people. Don't put already angry people in the street. This baby is already sick. He's dying. Don't beat him. The economy is crumbling. Don't let it fall in your name. That's my appeal to my friends. I have a lot of good friends in that organization. Honorable Dillon, Honorable, what's my radio friend name? Costa. All of them are my good friends. Very, very good friends. I know they love Liberia, but anything that goes wrong now, they will not escape responsibility because they organize the protests. Anybody can go in the protest and cause confusion. It will be blamed on them. The government can easily make a case. Oh yeah, they're not us. They put people in the street. So they need to see reason to sit with the UN and other people and dialogue with the government. You don't have to agree or accept anything that is not acceptable. But true protest may not be the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Honorable Sloh. I'm just going to interrupt quickly here because it seems to me that you are suggesting that the protesters who are trying to exercise their Article 17 rights under the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia should not do so. You're saying to them, oh, you shouldn't do this because it will lead to potentially lead to violence. So are you then advocating for people not to exercise their right under the Constitution? Because what the protesters are saying is, look, we have a constitutional right that when we are unhappy with our government, we have to express to our government through petition, through protest, that look, these are our grievances and we're not happy. So are you saying, so it's two questions. Are you saying that they should not exercise their right? And the second question is, when are we going to graduate from depending on outside help to solve problems? When are we going to solve problems as Liberians? Can we not have a situation where I, as a Liberian, can come to you as my leader and say, honorable leader, I have an issue, I need you to address it without us having a violent outbreak?
Brother Fidel, your questions are very interesting. I will die protecting the rights of any Liberian to exercise their inalienable rights under the Constitution, guaranteed by the Constitution. However, if in the exercise of your right, unintended consequences, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, are suspected, what do? You wanted to march freely, to call the international community and the government's attention to wrongdoing, to the violation of your rights. Then criminal Sloh and criminal John and criminal Peter infiltrate what you are doing, burning things, destroying properties, stoning people. Who takes responsibility for that? You don't know who the people are. They're not going to wear government uniform to say that government forces. What I'm saying is, when they say you have the right to express and to petition your government, it does not necessarily mean that you have to march from Brewerville to Capitol Building. Because in that process, you could also be violating other people's right to free movement. I may not want to protest that way. I want to go by my normal business, but you block the road in the exercise of your right. Where your right stop is where the next man's own begins. Again, my fear is unintended consequences. This morning, nobody knew people would stone people and blood will be rolling all over the place. That is an unintended consequence. I don't think the government went for Honorable Yeke Koluba for blood to roll. And the people who reacted to the arrest, they not intend for anybody's blood to roll. These are signals of what may happen on June 7th. I pray for us not to reach that far. But the events are informing me that we should prepare for the worst.
Honorable Sloh, I see we're making reference to the arrest of a sitting legislator. Article 42 of the Constitution, I want to read it.
Okay.
Because I don't want us to confuse, that it's not a blanket statement that don't arrest him at all. Here's what it says. No member of the Senate or House of Representatives shall be arrested, detained, prosecuted, or tried as a result of opinions expressed or votes cast in the exercise of the functions of his office. Members shall be privileged from arrest while attending, going to, or returning from sessions of the legislature, except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace. All officials' acts done or performed and all statement made in the chambers of the legislature shall be privileged, and no legislator shall be held accountable or punished therefore. I don't think Honorable Koluba was going to or returning from session, among other things that I read.
No, the very first paragraph you read is where you find Yeke. In the exercise of his legislative duties.
Exactly.
I think Yeke he's a politician. He was speaking to his supporters. That's an exercise of his legislative function. He does not have to do it in session alone. He can do it by radio, like I'm on it right now. You cannot obstruct me. I'm on this radio as a legislator. You cannot obstruct that. You will be held in contempt. It's my legislative function. You did not invite me as Nagbe Sloh. You invited me as District 2 representative, Sino County, the great. So, Yeke did not go on Broad Street or on 50-50 show to talk about Yeke. He was talking as a representative, and he thought he was propounding issues that are dear to his supporters, his constituents. And everywhere he goes, you see the crowd behind him. I don't know where he draws them from. So how can somebody say he was not doing it as a legislator? I want to see that line drawn. And that's why I want to go to the Capitol building as soon as possible to see where Mr. Zaza and his team will blame this man for inciting people against government. I want to see the statements that he made and all of that. I have been advising Honorable Koluba on his statements and attacks on the person of the president. I've always told him, address the issues and leave the man's name out. All right? But in this case, somebody needs to tell me what he did wrong. Thank you.
Honorable Sloh, you mentioned that perhaps right now is not the right time to protest. In your words, the people are too hungry or too angry right now to get out in the street and protest peacefully. I've heard on a lot of other shows a comparison to the civil rights movement here in the US. And some would say that that was a time where Black people in America were, too hungry or too angry. A lot of their family members were lynched or, kept from opportunities that also limited their economic well-being. What do you say to those comparisons? Why was it okay for it to happen in the US and it's not, I guess, a good enough method of protest in Liberia at this time?
In my lifetime, I've tried not to compare apples with oranges. What happens peacefully in the great United States, the beacon of democracy and free speech, is not necessarily guaranteed anywhere in Mother Africa.
But we can agree, though, that it wasn't peaceful. oftentimes when Black Americans protested here in the U.S., dogs were set on them, fire hoses were set on them. Sometimes people were killed because it was a very biased time in the history here.
Okay, so you agree with me that those who put the marchers in the street had assured that it was for peaceful purpose. Mm-hmm. It turned out to be something else. I don't think Martin Luther King told anybody to shoot anybody or to loot any item. Right. But it turned violent. And that's exactly my point. In 1979, when Marcus Matthews put us in the streets, he did not tell anybody to loot or to insult police or stone anybody. But it happened. So, I mean, whether you demonstrate, you walk from Cape Amos to Moravia or from Cape Mount to Cape Amos, you will still read a statement to the government because the government is the one you have the problem with. Now you are at the table with this government. Do you still have to march? You save yourself the headache of people destroying things in your name. That's my point.
Right now, the country.
Let me just jump in quickly on that point that Danielle raised. The fact of the matter, and the Honorable is correct. You know, when if we look at the incident in Alabama, for example, in Birmingham, Alabama, when people were marching peacefully, it was the government, the state government at the time, that instigated the violence. They were the ones shooting at the peaceful protesters. They were the ones putting dogs on the peaceful protesters. So it goes back to the point I was trying to raise. So far, Honorable, we have not seen anything from the protesters that suggests that they are out for violence. All we've seen so far are statements and actions from the government that suggest that they want to instigate this violence so that they can then blame it on the protesters.
Fine. If you know that, why do you want to get into it? You know what will happen.
Because it's their constitutional right to do it. It's their right. The Constitution is for all of us.
Okay,
Honorable
tomorrow,
Sloh, Daniel, similar to me, as Liberians, is our right. So you are saying to us, because someone's going to do bad in my name, I should not express my grievance.
No, if you can find a way around it, then go ahead. But like you just said, the government will do things to cause confusion so that it is blamed on you. Knowing this thing already, you still want to go inside. You know the government will deny. If they do, they will deny it. How do you deny that? Who put the people in the street? You. Something went wrong. Wherever it came from, who will take responsibility? The government has already told you anything that goes wrong will hold the planners responsible. They have told you.
Mr. Sloh, before you continue, so when is that right time going to come for people to protest or march? When is that time going to come?
The time will come if and when you are guaranteed your right to protest without brutality from any source. Start electing people who will not allow you to exercise your right. Start today. You remember Monkey calm down? The monkey has come down. What are Baboon doing now?
So to that point then, Honorable, what you're saying is the people who are hungry now, the people who are angry now should hold their hat until 2023 and then they can protest at the ballot.
I think it's the best way out. Because my brother, look, Friday evening, you will be here. I'm praying to God. Even if God wanted to take you and me today, in a way until Friday evening, you will hear accusations flying that the government said they want, that the opposition did it, then the other one did that. You will be here. Then I'll be like a small monkey. You know what a hunter goes? He's looking for the big monkey there. The small monkey down. When you see the hunter, he says, I see somebody coming. Then they say, you lie, you lie, you lie. When they hear Kiswe, that a big monkey coming down, then the small monkey say, I talk. So Friday, I will be telling you okay. All right? I will be telling you that.
Mr.
Just
Sloh.
today alone should guide our thinking for Friday. Given the people who were willing to demonstrate on Friday, you know, they are terrified now by today's events. You know, the brave ones, from LDU and other places will go out there.
All right. Mr. Sloh, let me hold you right there and just bring in our audience. If you just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Our guest tonight in this June 7 roundtable is Honorable J. Nagbe Sloh. He's the representative of District Number 2, Sino County. He's also the spokesman of the Independent Legislative Caucus. To join the conversation, please call 706-684-0392. And we have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from. James, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Two questions. First of all, let me welcome to this platform. Honorable Sloh, I want to ask you, what do you think? Don't you think the action of the people of Liberia today is based on a failure to be evenly represented at the House of Senate Representatives? That's my first question.
I agree with you.
You are representing a group of people.
I say I agree with you. You want to sing again?
People are going through difficult times, and you are there as a representative. So now here you see people rising up against the government and the interest of the people that you represent. Don't you think?
My brother, when you make a point and people agree with you, it means let's move on. The legislature has not performed its duty since we took office. We have failed the Liberian people. I'm not proud of it, but there is something called reality. And this is where all of this mess is coming from. We have not been true to our people. We are a kangaroo legislature. So I agree with you. Don't think. I already agree with you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, again, just a follow-up. Here again, you are saying that people should not demonstrate. Are you saying that people in our country should remain mute? We have a government that's basically not meeting the needs of its people?
All right. What is the alternative? Go demonstrate and cause destruction. I'm not stopping you from going to demonstrate, but go and see Monrovia in ruins. Then the demonstration has proven a point. To me, that's a waste of my time and energy.
Danielle, you want to come in?
Yeah.
We have a second caller on the line. Let's get this caller and then we can go to Danielle. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Good evening. My name is Fred Dennis Nagbe. I'm calling from New York.
Fred, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
I said I'm calling from New York.
Your question or comment?
Yeah, I have to say, the first thing I have to do, we the Liberians, what really are we taking on? I mean, what is going on in our country? It is not about saving the state. It is about certain people who feel that when they are not earning anything, there's nothing. Everybody, I'm for one, I'm a crew man. It's my youngest brother work from Grand Crew. But there are things that we are doing, I must say, I'm not in favor of. But we are wanting election. We want the money of the people. Okay, it's not even half of a can. Why are people jumping in the street? Saying a whole lot of things that they want to demonstrate, they want to save the state. From the very beginning, this brother won an election. The election was contested at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court did their ruling. People like the they are still having problems with the election result.
Okay.
There's the onset of this government, several demonstrations that took place. What we Liberians want, once you come down to hear that country, any president that take over will have problem. Any president that take over will have problem.
Okay, Mr. Nagbe, thank you so much. If you can wrap up.
My last comment is, ex-president we are, to be a leader.
Thank you.
You have to exercise your constitutional right that was given to you by the Constitution. So if you put a feet on the ground, then watch the opposition are fighting it. The child who said the power will not sleep, that child also shouldn't sleep. That's my last comment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
very much.
I think, can I just say something, Dennis, before Daniel come in? I think comments like that are not warranted. I think at the end of the day, the position that the Honorable is taking is that, look, we need to find an alternative way of expressing our grievances. And for someone to say, child who said the man will not sleep too, that's inciting violence. And that's not what we want to see as Liberians. So I'll have to disagree with that last caller, because that is not where we're going. And it's not about being crew member. I say I'm a crew member, I don't agree with what President Weah is doing. So it's not about whether you crew member or you Kula man or whatever. So let's leave the tribalism out of it, and let's leave inciting violence out of that as well. Anyway, Danielle, sorry.
So Gus, going back to the issues and why people are wanting to protest, two of the alleged demands will be for Minister Twa, the finance minister of Liberia, to resign and be prosecuted, as well as the current head of the bank, Mr. Petrie. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that those two are responsible for some of the economic situations in Liberia, the current economic conditions? And should they be fired and or tried?
Well, I don't know if we should look for somebody outside of the financial cycles to blame for what is going on. The finance minister is the fiscal man for the government. The governor is the monetary person. So if situations of this one are going on, you cannot blame the Minister of Youth and Sports or the President of the Marketing Association. These two should take responsibility and assure the country of a way forward. Since this thing started, I have been the only Liberian in government, outside government, who has called repeatedly on President Weah to address the nation on what was happening. And I've always said, in crises like this, it is only the president, the commander-in-chief, that can reassure the nation what is going on with our state. Recently, there was a recorded message that fell below the expectation of the Liberian people. Howbeit, should Twa resign? Again, where your right stops is where the next man's right begin. Our constitution that we wrote, it puts Twa at the will and pleasure of only one person. And the Liberian people, even though it's our money that is sitting on top, but our constitution says all cabinet ministers serve at the will and pleasure of the president. Should I call for Twa's resignation, I will be doing so outside of my constitutional rights. All right. Same thing with the governor of the central bank. Do I support that governor being governor of the central bank? From day one, I really thought that was the worst mistake the president made. That man is ugly. He has lost every usefulness if he ever had some. From trouble days to Doe and every other person, he has been in that one bank.
Wow.
Some of the people who are running the financial institutions now were not living when that man started working at the central bank. What old ideas can he bring to this new dispensation? He needs to go. But again, yes, sir.
There's a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Okay, my name is Alex.
Alex, your question or comment?
Okay, thank you. My question has to do with the Constitution. Also, the Constitution also tell us only for election before the president can go, if the president can do the country well, and the president is not doing the country well. So why should we wait for election before vote the president out?
What do you suggest?
I mean, why we got the right to protest against him. I mean, petition him to step down.
All right.
So I think if he's not doing the right thing, in the next month or 16 months, the president has done a lot that, I mean, we can leave. I mean, and people see reality. So, I mean, we don't need to say to tell us that the president is not doing right anymore. We're seeing it for ourselves.
All right.
We don't need to wait for election.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Well, Dennis, before you take the next caller or before the other panelists come in, I'm not aware of anything calling on the president to step down. I don't think that's the purpose of this demonstration. What I've been hearing is that they are calling the attention of the government, the president, the international community to the poor management of the economy and the country as a whole. All right? Now, what's the way out? That's where disagreements come. I'm sure the president himself and his people agree that all is not well. But where do we go from here and how do we get there? That's where the disagreements come. Personally, I don't believe, with the kind of angry, very, very angry population I see, you put them in the street, they will be peaceful. I don't think so. It is their right to demonstrate. Nobody should misinterpret me here. You can exercise that right, but again, unintended consequences. You have malaria, you go take some kind of medicine, it ended up cutting all your intestines, you did not solve the problem. Thank you.
Another issue that we've heard is the budget for the First Lady, which I believe is between $1 and $2 million. I think for those of us who live here in the U.S., a budget for the First Lady isn't something that's uncommon. And generally, the budget for the First Lady is to go towards some projects that will benefit in some way or form the citizens of the U.S. Can you tell us what the general census of the legislature was on that line item? Because, I mean, we had President Sirleaf for 12 years. She wasn't married. There was no office of the First Lady. And now we're in a different situation where we've elected a man and there is a First Lady. So what was the general feeling on that line item on the budget?
Well, when we all came in, there was a lot of us that had been there just for the first time. And some budget was brought in and pushed down our throats. As soon as we sat down, when a budget was brought in, I am not on the Ways and Means Committee of the House, which usually, the House works through committees. They dealt with the budget. So I don't really know how much they put in the last budget for the First Lady. Now I'm hearing about 1.7, 1.5 and all of that. This time we have decided, especially the Independent Legislative Caucus, that the new budget will be torn apart, discussed word for word, amount by amount, line by line, before it can pass. And when they saw the fighting forces for that, they withdrew it, took it back to the mansion. It's still there. It has not come back yet. I can assure you that that budget will reflect the needs and aspirations of the Liberian people. I'm just hoping that it is not the same way people are going around saying legislators make $18,000. I'm still looking for my bike pay. I've not seen it yet. You know, I hope whatever we are hearing is true, because Congressmen say it ain't gonna pass that house. Trust me.
Okay.
Mr. Sloh, there's another caller on the line. Our phone lines are ranking up the hook. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Caller?
Yes.
Your name, question, and comment.
Yeah, my name is Coley Victoria. I'm calling from Pennsylvania.
Caller, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple of concerns. First, the lawmaker Sloh just made a statement about Nathaniel Patrick bringing a new idea, so he should have been gone a long time ago. Why is it that Nathaniel Patrick is a presidential appointee? A honorable thing, he can call for him to be gone, but he cannot call for the finance minister to be gone, who is also a presidential appointee, because to me that is a double standard. My second point here has to do with the variances that were found in the GAC report, where the minister came out and said that the president would address the situation in September. The president came out, he said he's going to look for corporates for corrupt practices from 10 years ago. Why is he looking for corporates from 10 years ago? Honorably retiring the corporate of the GAC report with Nathaniel Patrick with full benefit. Can you comment, sir?
Thank you, and you can take your answer off the line.
Okay. Let me start with the Patriot situation. I was clear that the two individuals, Minister Toya and Honorable Patriot, should take full responsibility for what is going on with the economy. I did not exclude any of them. And I said, unfortunately, they serve at the will and pleasure of the president. But leave it with me, the two of them should go. The most honorable thing to do is, you see, Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, when things are tough and you know you are the one in charge, you take responsibility. You quit and let other person try. That's what I think my friend and brother Tua and the old man there need to do. Somebody say both two of them. Both of them need to go. There's no if, there's no but. Maybe those who study economics will tell you, since they are seen as the problem, if they were to quit today, there will be confidence in the economy. People will think that the solution is coming. Okay, right now there's confidence crisis. Because every little money business here, two of them are the ones and who give the instruction for 25 million to go this way and that other way. No, the honorable thing for them to do is to say, Mr. President, thank you for allowing me to serve. Since the people see me as the problem and I don't think I'm the problem, let me recuse myself and let somebody else try. That's what I will do. But again, will and pleasure. Now, on the president going back to 10 years ago to ask for audits and all of that, it is not late. But my thing is, it should not be restricted to the past. It should also include the crises that are on hand. If I were him, that's where I would even start from and make my way back. If you leave that one, then the thing you are doing window dressing. So I disagree with the president. I think he should deal with the current crisis, the financial crisis, all the reports from the investigation conducted by the people from America, and his own professionals that he asked, Ellis Coffey and others, let him implement what they said. That's where we should start from. You can always make your way to those other reports that are on the shelves. They're not rotten. You can always go to them and implement them. There are recommendations in there. We can't reconduct those audits. Just implement the recommendations. If I am accused in an audit report and I feel, it's wrongly done, let me go to court or somewhere to exonerate myself. The president should not, provide cover for me.
Mr. Sloh, there is a caller on the line, but before that caller comes in, go ahead, Mr. Budi.
Yeah, Mrs. Honorable Sloh. I'm just going to say, I'm going to extend my thanks and appreciation to you for coming onto the show tonight. Unfortunately, I have to take my leave now. I'm leaving you in the hands of Dennis and Danielle, who will continue the show. But it's been very interesting talking to you. All of the points that you've made have been on point. And obviously, I look forward to co-hosting with my panel today, and hopefully having you on the show again. Hope you have a good time, and we all pray for Liberia come June 7th. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, Brother Fidel. You can ask Dennis for my Liberia and US numbers. I think I need to chat with you off the show. I also enjoy your participation and your patriotism for our country. Again, it takes people like you to live our country. Thank you for what you do for our country in your private capacity.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Fidel. He's in the UK and the time difference, and so thank you so much for yeah. And so
it's gone.
And so, Mr. Sloh, there's a caller on the line, but before that caller comes in, most of these issues could be addressed in the legislature. Even though you said that the legislature have failed, but why are you failing, and what is it that you're going to do through the House to fix some of these issues to avoid people going in the street?
Dennis, I've said on your show before, and I will say today, I've told the Liberian people 2.8 million times that there is a lack of leadership in the House and even in the Senate. That's what is killing the legislature. We are all puppets. The speaker doesn't even know his left from his right. And he has these cronies around him who are grave seekers and sycophants. When they see serious people, they gang up against you. You can never be recognized on the House floor to say anything. And so, for almost 2 years now, as Buffett Chambers, and real name is Jalal Lahini, as my brother, other people went to school with him, his name is Jalal Lahini. Ask him what is the achievement of himself as Speaker and of the entire legislature. 0.00. We have achieved nothing because we have no leadership.
Let me give chance to the caller. Let me give chance to the caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Samson Williams, and I call from Brooklyn, Minnesota.
Your question, comment, sir.
Thank you for having me on the show. Honorable man, all due respect. In my opinion, the whole issue of the state is based on 3 phases. Again, in my opinion, number 1, revenge. Number 2, political interest. And number 3, greed and hustle. And if you ask me to tie individuals spearheading the protest to these 3 phases that I just named, I would tie Honorable Yeke Koluga to the issue of revenge. I would tie the Darius Delon to political interest, and I would tie Hannah Costa to the issue of hustle and greed. What has been the proactive measure, or was there any proactive measure taken by the legislature for the issue of the state has extended or taken the trench it is taken right now? Lastly, naming these 3 individuals. One of them is a colleague. I'm listening to the show. individual and you name all three of them as your good friends. We are seeing right now that the protest is taking a whole different branch. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, the protest is not going to be peaceful. What would be, in your opinion, the right hour? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, all right, my brother. The opinions you express about Yeke, Costa, Dillon, and others is something to which you are entitled. It's an opinion to which you are entitled under our free speech laws. You know, I was the one that pushed the bill for free speech that went to the president and signed the law, the Abdullah A. Kamara free speech law. So I will not debate with you on what you think about others. What I think about what the legislature did or did not do about the so-called Save the State protest, I just told you, the legislature on January 15, 2018, when we took office, we started sleeping, and up to now we are still sleeping. Somebody needs to wake us up. All of the things happening in the country is like, we don't even exist. Again, this is due to bad leadership. We have a speaker who does not speak. That's why you have Yeke Koluba, the late Arab Lawrence, and Nagbe Sloh, and other people going outside of the chambers to express their opinions. As a legislature, if we had been proactive, all the issues that the people are complaining about, we would have arrested them before they got to this point. But again, if you see the speaker walking, you can tell the kind of speaker he is. We have failed the Liberian people. All we do is to take pay. Lame dog legislature. If you were to conduct election today, I don't know how many of us will come out of there.
Dennis, is there another caller?
Yes, caller, your name and where you calling from?
Well, I'm John Owolo. I'm calling from Maryland.
Okay, John, your question are coming.
All right, my comment first is to the legislator in there, Mr. Sloh. Hey, listen, you have just justified the reason for the protest. You said your legislature and asking us to have a dialogue with who? If you can't get the president to do anything, can we? We entrusted you with our power to speak power to the president, and you don't do it. After we have complained and complained and complained and talked about it and talked about, you guys sit down right in there. Everything the man says is passed. They steal money. It goes without any question. No investigation, no redress. When they come into the country, everybody act like they don't know. You guys want us to believe that the government took over a broke economy, but yet the president straight away built 49 units and 3 mansions and buying property all over the place. And nobody says anything. Everybody seems to be so afraid to speak to the world.
Thank you.
And then you asking us to dialogue. This is why and it's going to extend to you guys too. Because my true belief right now is that everybody needs to go. All of you need to go. Because you don't seem to know what your job's there.
Thank you. Thank you. For your response.
Well, I think the brother should wait for the next 5 years for everybody to go. That's the constitutional line that he needs to travel. I already sang the song that he wasting his time singing, that the legislature has failed the Liberian people. If he were listening, he would not have repeated that. I don't like for people to repeat one thing over and over. why I want him to dialogue if we did not do the appropriate thing. So because I failed, you too must fail. What is the alternative? Go and destroy your city, my brother. Go destroy it. The little house I live in, not for me, I'm renting it. That the first one, I will give you kerosene to go burn it. Since I didn't perform, if that will bring you what you want, God bless you and save the state. Next question.
Honorable Sloh, if you today were somehow magically made the president's chief advisor, if you were now Minister of State in this moment, looking at everything that is before you, the last couple of days, the arrests, the country's reaction to the speech, what would be your advice to him? What would be your directive to him?
On day one, I will have the president fire the entire government and restructure it, bring in competent people, including people from the opposition. May God bless you.
Yes, a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Sloh, Julius, and I'm calling from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Lofa, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Thank you. This is more of a comment. And to the honorable representative, I watched a video of this representative referring to our people as beggars. Senator who could not justify his income. And he was questioned about it. Why is it that they either where 80% of our people are jobless? Poverty is killing our people. Why are they making over $5,000? And he and his colleagues both made mockery of our people, spit in our faces and refer to our people as beggars, because our people go out to them to act, and he lacked the ability to even present to us policies that he will make available for our people to empower them. Instead, he referred to them as beggars. And this is the man who is telling us that he will give some advice to the president to bring incompetent people. How can I believe such a person? Thank you.
Thank you, Lofa.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sloh, Honorable Sloh, your response.
I don't know where he said I referred to somebody as beggar. I think you were listening to Radio Pluto, not the one we are on. I've never referred to any Liberian in private, on radio, anywhere as beggar. It's a green, yellow, black lie that is just told. Next question.
Any more callers?
No, we have questions on Facebook.
Before you get to that, Dennis, we mentioned the address from the president recently, and there's been a lot of debate about it being a recorded message. Do you have issue with it being recorded, and why, or why not?
Again, in crisis like this, the people have to look at you. You need to look at them in the face. You can do it on TV, on radio, or at some assembly point, and talk to your people. They will take you seriously. You may win hearts. Lay out your case and advance solutions. But if you recall a statement and put it on radio or what they call social media, people think you lower the bar for their issues. You don't take them and their issues seriously. Because your body language alone, which we will not see on a recorded message without a video, we will not see your body language. We will not see the seriousness you attach to the issue. Again, one of the problems this government is facing is PR. The PR is bad, 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 bad. That was a PR blunder by the government for the president to release a tape recorded statement.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Momo Taki, I'm calling from Minnesota.
Momo, your question or comment?
I have questions and comments on all language.
1 minute, please.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, my comment on language. I listen to the legislator. I tend to vote in the sense that they make the issue to escalate. My first question on language is, if you have a country that is subsistence farming, I call it subsistence farming because the economic situation, the economy of Liberia is like a subsistence farming where when they sell rubber, when they iron ore, the economy began good, when raw press go, the economy began good, and when the press drop, the economy began bad. But if you have a national legislature, people that are into the national legislature that were voted by the people to represent their people, but they are not really no impact. Only go on social media, they say the president is recruiting or the president have undercover security making the media. Do you think, my question to Rosso, do you think if international partner or business that want to invest into the country, see or sitting lawmaker or government official is in that statement, do you think that person will be encouraged to go back to the country to help to create business?
Thank you. And you can take your answer offline.
Well, first of all, I don't know whoever made the kind of statements that you are talking about, so it will be difficult for me to defend it. However, I agree with you that a house against itself cannot stand. If officials of the very government are making the kind of statements that you are talking about, the outsiders, investors that you refer to, will be afraid to go in there. If you wanted to take your child to my house to live, and you see me and my wife fighting, or the children there are disrespecting me and we're fighting in there, I'm sure you will not be encouraged to send your child there. So yes, you are right. Government officials making derogatory statements about each other, whether it's the president or cabinet minister or legislators, will discourage investors because people want to invest in peaceful environments, not where there is violence. That's the same song I'm singing here. You know, all the airplanes that left Liberia in the past 1 month, they are always filled, no seat. People are leaving, especially investors. People are not investing in the country. They are withholding their money. People who normally will import rice and other things that we need over there have not imported almost a month or two now. The little that's there, prices are going up. So I agree with you. But again, I don't know who the specific legislators that may have made the statements that you are talking about. I can't say you are lying, but I have not heard it, so I cannot defend it. Thank you.
Another caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yes, good afternoon from my end. I'm calling from California, San Francisco.
And what's your name, please?
Sanford Roberts.
Sanford, your question or comment?
Yes, I'll make a few comments as the honorable man's question. All right, so I listened to one of the callers making statements regarding how the protesters or the leaders of the protesters taking personal interest or they are trying to revenge or something. So, and then I wonder what, I try to wonder if he really don't see what's going on in the country. All these scandals that are going on and the living condition of the people. You know, it's really, mind-boggling for people to see the reality. And then, turn a blind eye to those things. And I think, the people that going through these things, they are not Liberian. And then, so the issue regards to the Honorable House. Now, I don't know how the leadership is being established, like, for example, the Speaker, the President, how they elect these people based on what principles do they use. I think if you look at it, I listened listening to the honorable man making, I guess he's trying to say something and stuff. I mean, the speaker and other members of the house that, they try to silence that of election to delay your own leadership. Do you critique or try to find out? Because I guess this is right. I've been hearing about the honorable Nagbe in the house for a while now. So, I mean, there should be some level of history of integrity. Letting such people, because if you look at it, he said in this election that as far as I know, there is nothing for the legislature anymore. All right? Because that's why the citizens themselves, they're taking this matter into their own hands.
Right.
So my question to him is, what steps are you guys taking now to be able to regain your name or have some level of integrity in the house?
Thank you. Thank you.
What step are you taking to regain credibility? Again, may I call it what it is. The only thing we can do is to remove Buffer Timber and all his leadership team. But the man and his criminals will do everything to frustrate that. They will not, you put it on the floor, they cannot even raise it. You can't do anything unless the speaker put it on the agenda. He's a small dictator, not even small one, big one.
So what's the
extraordinary?
I think it's
the way out is to wait until he dies or he leave office by election or something. Because he and the criminals will not give you a chance to do anything. They are the most corrupt in the history of that legislature. Don't take it from me. Ask any legislator you know, just ask them. But cowards who die several times before their time will not agree with you if you say, let move the man. Oh, Lord, we don't know what the president will say. We don't know what the president will say. So, we'll just be there until the president says.
So here in the U.S., a lot of our lawmakers will talk about reaching across the aisle. And that, refers to getting some people from the majority party to join on with you to pass a bill or to start some sort of initiative. So that way the minority group can gain the majority for something to pass. So has that happened? Has there been some reaching across the aisle to maybe, whether it's other independent candidates or candidates from opposition parties and maybe a few, of the main party members in the legislature? Have you at all tried to reach out to try to get a majority, to get some issues on the floor or to get some things voted in the direction you would wish?
Unfortunately, we don't have a majority party. No party is in a majority. So it's just cronies across the aisle that are working together, tied together by corrupt interests. They will form majority for an issue, and then the next day there's a different majority for another issue, but there's no solid majority, either from party lines or on ideology.
We have another caller on the line. Call your name and where you calling from.
I apologize that I had to call in twice, giving all the people the opportunity to either with the honorable representative. But the honorable representative said that my comment about his asparagus was a lie. I would like if you would permit me, please. I would like
Is he not come by again?
to listen to the audio where he and his colleague both were trying to justify their income and refer to our people as beggars. Okay, so if you will permit me, please, I can play for you, and I also sent a link and give specifically the point where they play for the listening audience so they can hear themselves, because it's not already on. people right to do certain things. And I don't know how.
Thank you, Nova. Thank you. If you can send that link, then we can play it.
I think it's coming to you, and I will send it again.
All right. Thank you. So we can. Sloh?
Yeah. I'm not going to dialogue with that brother on his imagination. Next question.
All right, next caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Hello, your name and where you calling from, please?
Okay, my name is Thomas Herrera.
Thomas, question or comment? Go ahead, please.
The most common issue for Liberia, as we sit here, and it's the leadership, both the legislature and the executive, attempts to address these issues. When they don't have a crisis, or they may not be in trouble at the moment.
Right.
I'll give you an example. Look at exchange rate, look at inflation. By 2018, inflation was 23.4. Exchange rate, everything is ballooning. My position is that those who are close to the president are not helping him.
Right.
But that's what I say. So that the president are not helping. It's right. Morality is one for all of us. We know what is right and what is wrong.
Thank you.
The issue of the three reports, these three reports were all corroborated. CRO, PIT, and GAC. Corporate, or the alleged corporate, should be taken to court.
Thank you, sir. We want it down. We have more callers coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Sloh, any comment?
Well, I think I've said this over and over that the reports from the bodies that he referred to should be implemented, even if we have to go to early era and other people's eras. But those recent reports should be implemented by the government. So I agree with him. This thing that everybody says, oh, the people around the president, the people around the president. We need to hold our leaders responsible and stop looking around them to find scapegoats. The president took an oath to run the country. He was the one elected. So if there are missteps, hold the president responsible, or the people around the president, the people around the president. So what are you saying that the president is a figurehead that other people would be dictating to do things? It is the president that gives the orders. He is the commander-in-chief.
Sure.
He's the head of the government. So if there's something you're not satisfied with, say, blame the president. Don't say the people around him, the people around him. Listen, I've been hearing this since 1847. It's not fair to the people around the president.
Another caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Chinampo. We said calling from Maryland.
Chinampo, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment?
Thank you very much. I'm so impressed listening to my but there's two things I want Sloh to clarify for me.
Okay.
There's one sense of frustration on his part that he as a legislature is not given the opportunity to adequately represent his people who elected him. But then at the same time, he's calling on people to go back and wait and allow the suffering that you are going to use the word perpetual suffering and no solution. He's been very arrogant towards the people of Christ. And he Sloh was elected to represent the people of this to persona. Now, he at the same time is saying we should wait. Because we made a decision to elect this president. And he has a record and has to be on tour because of the leadership that they have in the House of Representatives. How can you reconcile these two? How do we move forward? If he is not in favor of the demonstration because the government is threatening they can't guarantee the safety of the people, and they are also saying anything go wrong, knowing that constitutionally with or the citizens of the Republic of abroad protesting.
Yeah.
So it is the responsibility of the government.
All right. Thank you, Chinabo.
Represent us to call on this government that it is not going to guarantee the safety and security.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Dennis, I think Brother Wissel may have joined the discussion in the middle of it, because I did not say nobody should take any action and they should wait for election or something. I did not say that. I don't know where he drew that idea from. What I've been saying is, it's your right to do what you want to do. However, judging from the past and even today, TODAY, Wednesday, I would not hesitate to guess that Friday is not going to be peaceful. Is that the kind of right you want to exercise? Go ahead, be my guest. It will be your right to protest, march. In fact, I don't want you to march from Douala. Walk it down, march from there until you reach Monrovia to create, more momentum. But be prepared to accept responsibility for anything that anybody does with your planned and executed demonstration. Is that too simple? Is that too much to ask for? I am saying the people, when you go to demonstrate, criminals and other people get involved. Those are not the people that you call, but they get there. You're looking for a crowd. They are there for their own reasons. Do you know them? No. Who is responsible for their actions? You. Because you put them there. If you didn't call demonstration, the criminals will not get there. There are some who say government will put people there to cause the confusion. Of course. Everybody is looking for a point to score against their friend. That's why I say the demonstration of yesterday that was good is not necessarily the same demonstration of today. If you say I'm wrong, I'm all apologetic. But tomorrow, I will tell you, I talk.
So we talk about alternatives to protesting. Do you think there's any value in the constituents of every district going to their legislator's office to voice their concerns?
Well, you don't have to go every district going to their legislator. In fact, somewhere in the Constitution, it says the people can assemble and petition their representatives. Now, that representative, whether it's cabinet or the real legislative representatives, I don't know. My point is, you can write a statement. 5 people, 10 people, 20 people bring it in the name of the, what the organizer's name again?
Council of Patriots.
Council of Patriots. You can even put 100 people, 10, 15 from each county, all representing different organizations. Go and petition your representatives or petition the government. Get the international community involved. One thing I know for fact, FACT, is so far where this whole thing has reached, the demonstrators, the planners have already succeeded. They have brought the country down to its knees. How much more you want? For people to be stoning each other and burning stuff, which is possible. This kind of momentum that this other demonstration received has never been like that in the history of this country. Never, not in the 55 years with which God has blessed me. No demonstration has received this kind of publicity and momentum. To the extent that, you know, every institution has been brought down to its knees. Today, the president had to issue a statement, oh, everybody must go to work on Friday. And this, what's the need? Because he knows that nobody will go to work on Friday. Nobody will go to work. The personnel directors are supposed to, they must be ready to fire people because from what I know, from where I sit, people will not go to work, especially from what happened today.
Honorable Sloh.
Yes, sir.
What's up with this spelling thing? The last time the former president was on TV spelling L-I-E. Now you are spelling F-A-C-T. Let me bring a caller.
That's emphasis. She took it from me.
All right. Yeah. Call out your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is San Francisco, California. I just called back quickly because I wanted to get just a follow-up question with the honorable there.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
When I previously asked about the credibility, how the legislature what they can do to gain that credibility. And his response was very, 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 disappointing as it relates to, we're just going to wait for the speaker to either die or we'll do something, reluctantly. So, so what I know, politics, nobody going to. So, my question to him is, you're going to sit and just say, okay, you know what, we can't do anything, we give up, we're going to wait for the people to have the will, and just treat the Liberian people or the people we're representing? Is that what you guys going to do?
Thank you, sir. Honorable Sloh.
You know, when people ask questions, they expect answers in a particular way. I told you, we are all sycophants, buffoons. We are afraid to meet the man. The only action you can take is to remove him. So since we cannot remove him, we only have to wait for him to die or election time if people move him. So what else am I supposed to say? I don't see another way. So I'm going to go beg him to resign? No. The man was given to the legislature. If that man had been elected, we would not have been where we are. He was given to the legislature, and all of us fell for it. We thought we had just come, no need for fighting and all of that. But we made a big mistake that is haunting us today. Right now, everybody say President must agree before we move the man. What is that?
Okay, we have another call again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. Our time is drawing close. We'll soon be wrapping this up, but we have a caller on the line. Call out your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, how you doing? I'm from Minnesota.
And your name is?
My name is Daniel, calling from Minnesota.
Daniel, your question or comment?
Okay, my question goes to directly on the don't remain interior. My question is that okay.
Go ahead, we're listening. I think we have an issue there. Honorable Sloh, the issue, especially in the House, is always going to be difficult. We elected you from district number 2 to find a way around it. So we don't want to wait for buffer chambers to die or be fired by it. Before we do something, what can we do as a way around this situation?
Zero way. I just told you.
Zero.
The man will not resign. The same way he came, that's how he's expecting to move. Can you imagine 72 men? They got their hands between their legs, waiting for president to say, buffer move. So what's the way around it? And the president, I know, will never issue that order. Forget it. Even firstly, it's wrong. And even if it were right, this speaker is serving the president to a satisfaction. He's not going to do it. Nobody should get the president involved. If we cannot be men to look at that Togolese and Muhi, we'll stay on in this thing.
So, Honorable Sloh, based on your earlier comment, you're telling us you believe that there's still going to be a massive number of people at the protest on Friday, even after the 2 days of violent events. Do you think people will still show up in great numbers?
The people who are not happy, especially in Monrovia, there are too many. So I would not be surprised if they defy all the odds to get in the streets. I cannot predict a poor turnout. What I can easily predict is it's not going to be peaceful.
Okay. It seems we've lost Dennis, but I know we're near the end of the show here. So before we go, can you please just give us your last comments or your closing comments, especially in regards to the protest? And also, one other thing, if there is something that you believe those of us maybe in the diaspora could do to help improve the situations in Liberia, if there are people you feel that those of us in the diaspora need to reach out to help improve the situation, I guess especially the economic situation, which seems to be the greatest issue or the most pressing issue at this time.
Well, unfortunately, Danielle, I'm a realist. I don't think there's anything you can do because we on the grounds see you in the diaspora like foreigners. Mm-hmm. We are not receptive to your presence, to your ideas, and to anything from you. Consider dual citizenship. Even for you to go visit your country, oh, they come for our jobs. You come for our jobs. When you go to that place with all the good intentions, we take you like somebody from Pluto. And if you were to carry good ideas now, oh, the job she's looking for. So the reception is going to be poor. And we've been like that for a long time. That's why we're not making progress. There are too many people outside here who got good ideas. Some of the people in the government, they came from this very place. It took them time to settle in. Liberians need to accept Liberians from wherever as part of them. Your ideas, everything you bring should be accepted. We're not doing that. And so right now, the situation in Liberia, trust me, those of you here can resolve it in no time. But go try it. You will get frustrated, waste your money. And this is not the first time Liberians in the diaspora have attempted or may attempt to resolve crisis at home. All throughout the crisis, Yula and other people were active. But to what extent? People prefer the Ghanaians and Nigerians and other people coming, the people they will listen to. Not Yula. Then Yula itself was not helping. You split here, split there, split the other place. So realistically, I don't think there's anything you can do. Should you get involved? Yes, that's your country. Will the people on the ground accept you as a helper instead of seeing you as an imposer? It's another different ballgame. But again, thank you for your time. I really enjoy being with you. Again, for Friday, I pray that it should be peaceful as planned. But history does not lead me to thinking that it's going to be peaceful. I pray to be wrong on this one. May God bless you. Save Liberia.
Thank you, Honorable Sloh, and thank you to our guests for joining us today. I'm sorry Dennis had to drop so suddenly. But thanks for being here, and please join us again on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. This Sunday, we continue our series on the civil war in Liberia, and we will have some survivors of the war be present to tell their stories, and we could view the Civil War through their lens. Okay, so thank you so much again to our guest, Honorable Sloh, and thank you to our audience. We'll see you again on Sunday.